There's a state in America with an income tax that charges retirees exactly zero on their Social Security, zero on their pension, zero on their 401k, and zero on their IRA. I know what you are thinking. You are probably assuming that to protect your hard-earned money, you need to pack up and move to a state with no income tax whatsoever. But the truth is going to completely surprise you because millions of Americans are walking out the door of their jobs and stepping right into massive tax traps that are costing them a fortune. If you retired in one of these three states, you are losing $5,000 every single year, and you might not even realize it until the money is completely gone from your accounts. We are going to dive deep into the actual numbers today because I want to protect your savings from being drained by hidden fees, stealth taxes, and policies that directly target your fixed income. It is incredibly depressing to realize that the money you have already paid taxes on throughout your entire working career is getting taxed again just because you chose the wrong zip code to settle down in. Let us start by looking at the three absolute worst states for retirement taxes where you are literally handing over your wealth to the government. First on the list of villains is Vermont, a gorgeous state with an absolutely brutal tax code that is relentlessly punishing to retirees. If you live in Vermont, they do not care if you have a fixed income because they tax your Social Security benefits, they tax your pensions, and they tax your traditional IRA distributions with very few exemptions. Let us say you and your spouse have a combined retirement income of $80,000. The state of Vermont is going to take a massive bite out of that, costing you roughly $4,000 to $5,000 a year, depending on your exact modified adjusted gross income and your Social Security phase-out thresholds. Over a 20-year retirement, that is $100,000 completely gone, evaporated into thin air, just for the privilege of living in the Northeast. Next up is Minnesota, another state that claims to be friendly but hides a terrifying tax reality for seniors. Minnesota taxes Social Security benefits for a huge percentage of retirees, and their state income tax rates are highly aggressive, meaning your 401k withdrawals and your pension payouts are going to be heavily penalized. If you are a 68-year-old married couple pulling $50,000 from a pension and $40,000 from Social Security, Minnesota is going to hit you with state income taxes that easily exceed $5,000 annually once you factor in their specific tax brackets and the lack of a robust homestead exemption for average earners. The anger and frustration you would feel watching that money disappear is entirely justified because it feels fundamentally unfair to be taxed on already taxed money. Finally, we have California, which is notorious for its high cost of living, but the specific retirement tax traps are what truly destroy your savings. California does exempt Social Security, which surprises some people, but they aggressively tax IRA distributions, 401k withdrawals, and private pensions at some of the highest state income tax rates in the entire country. If you are relying on your 401k to fund your lifestyle in California, you are going to see a horrific tax bill. And when you combine that with their exorbitant sales tax and local assessments, you are easily losing more than $5,000 a year compared to a tax-optimized state. Now, you are probably thinking the obvious move is to pick a state with no income tax like Texas or Washington to avoid this nightmare completely. But here is what actually happens when you just read the headlines and do not look at the underlying math. The no-income tax states are not always the cheapest option, and in fact, they can be a massive trap. These states still need to pave roads, fund schools, and pay for emergency services, so they get their money through hidden taxes, massive property tax bills, skyrocketing sales taxes, and crippling insurance premiums. You might save $3,000 on income tax, but end up paying $7,000 more in property taxes and homeowners insurance, leaving you worse off than if you just stayed put. This is exactly why you need to understand the complete financial picture before you pack up your entire life. If that sounds like something you need to master to protect your financial future, hit the subscribe button right now so you never miss another deep dive into the real math of retirement. Let us shift our focus to the actual heroes of this story, the top 5 states for retirement taxes that offer strategic exemptions, allowing you to keep significantly more of your money. We will start with Iowa, a state that recently overhauled its entire tax code to become incredibly friendly to retirees. Iowa now completely exempts all retirement income from state taxes if you are over the age of 55. That means zero tax on your pension, zero on your 401k, and zero on your IRA distributions. Next is Nevada, which truly has no state income tax, but unlike Texas, its property taxes are remarkably low, making it a genuinely affordable haven for retirees who want to protect their investments while enjoying a lower overall tax burden. Then we have the ultimate sleeper state, Pennsylvania. This is the state I teased at the very beginning of this video. Pennsylvania has a flat state income tax for working professionals, but for retirees, it is an absolute goldmine. If you are over 59 and a half, Pennsylvania charges exactly zero on your Social Security, zero on your pension, zero on your 401k, and zero on your IRA. It is a massive tax haven hiding in plain sight because people only look at the fact that it has an income tax and they immediately write it off without understanding the specific exemptions for seniors. Tennessee is our fourth state, offering no state income tax and incredibly low property taxes, though you do have to navigate a slightly higher sales tax, but overall it keeps thousands of dollars in your pocket every single year. Finally, we have Florida, the traditional retirement powerhouse, which boasts no state income tax and strong asset protection laws, though you must carefully balance this against their rising homeowners insurance rates, which are becoming a significant problem for fixed-income households. Let us make this abstract math completely tangible by looking at a highly specific case study of a 68-year-old married couple. Imagine this couple has a total modified adjusted gross income of $100,000, consisting of $40,000 from Social Security, $40,000 from a 401k, and $20,000 from a private pension. If this couple lives in California, their Social Security is exempt, but that remaining $60,000 is subjected to state income tax, resulting in a state tax bill of roughly $5,400 depending on their exact deductions. Over 10 years, that is $54,000 walking out the door. Now let us move that exact same couple to the sleeper state of Pennsylvania. Because they are over 59 and a half, their Social Security is exempt, their 401k withdrawals are entirely exempt, and their pension is completely exempt. Their state income tax bill drops from $5,400 down to exactly zero. Even when you factor in Pennsylvania's property taxes, which average around $3,000 for a median home, their total tax burden is drastically lower than in California. But what if they move to Florida? In Florida, they also pay zero state income tax, but their property taxes and soaring homeowners insurance could easily add up to $8,000 a year or more. This proves that the default assumption that Florida is always the best financial move is a complete myth. You have to look at the total cost of ownership, not just the income tax rate. Now, as if this was not complicated enough, everything is about to change because of the brand new 2026 tax laws that are going to fundamentally alter previous retirement planning strategies. You need to feel a massive sense of urgency right now because the window of opportunity to optimize your taxes is closing rapidly. In 2026, the current tax cuts are set to expire, which means tax brackets are going to revert to higher historical levels. However, there are some massive updates you need to prepare for, including a new $6,000 senior bonus deduction that will allow older Americans to shield even more of their standard income from the IRS. Additionally, the SALT deduction cap, which has severely limited the ability of retirees in high-tax states to deduct their state and local taxes, is set to be overhauled. If the SALT cap increases or disappears, states like California and Minnesota might suddenly become slightly more mathematically viable for certain high-net-worth retirees, completely flipping the current conventional wisdom on its head. Furthermore, the dynamics around Roth conversions are going to drastically shift. Right now, we are in a historically low-tax environment, making it the absolute perfect time to convert your traditional IRA funds into a Roth IRA. By paying the taxes now at today's lower rates, you protect yourself from the massive tax hikes coming in 2026, ensuring that your future withdrawals will be 100% tax-free, regardless of what state you live in. If you wait until 2026 to start your Roth conversions, you are going to be hit with significantly higher marginal tax rates, and you will lose thousands of dollars in unnecessary tax payments. You also need to be acutely aware of how your state handles estate tax and inheritance tax. Pennsylvania, for example, is fantastic for income tax, but it does have a strict inheritance tax that could impact your heirs, whereas states like Florida have zero estate or inheritance tax, making them far superior for legacy planning. This is why you cannot just look at a single metric. You have to evaluate your property tax, your sales tax, your income tax, your insurance costs, and the specific rules regarding your Social Security phase-out. Let us look at another mathematical reality that most people completely ignore. When you are calculating your modified adjusted gross income, the IRS uses a specific formula to determine how much of your Social Security is taxable at the federal level. If you live in a state that also taxes Social Security, like Minnesota or Vermont, you are suffering from double taxation. You are paying the federal government and the state government on the exact same benefit. This is why relocating to a state that specifically exempts Social Security is the bare minimum you should do to protect your wealth. But you have to go further. You need to look at how your state treats capital gains. If you are selling a primary residence to downsize or liquidating a brokerage account to fund your retirement, high-tax states will take a massive percentage of your profits. States like Nevada and Tennessee will let you keep every single penny of those capital gains, which can easily equate to tens of thousands of dollars in savings over the course of your retirement. The contrast principle here is staggering. Comparing a $5,400 tax bill in California to a $0 income tax bill in Pennsylvania highlights exactly why you need to be strategic. The fear of the unknown is what keeps people paralyzed, handing over their hard-earned savings year after year simply because they are too afraid to run the actual numbers. Continuing to dive deeper into this financial investigation, we have to look at the granular details of how these hidden taxes actually compound over time and destroy your purchasing power. When you lose $5,000 a year to a state like Vermont, Minnesota, or California, you are not just losing that initial $5,000. You are losing the opportunity cost of what that money could have earned if it remained invested in your portfolio. Assuming a conservative 6% annual return, that $5,000 a year invested over a 20-year retirement period would grow to nearly $190,000. That is almost $200,000 of lost wealth simply because you did not optimize your geographic location for tax efficiency. This is the exact reason why financial anxiety grips so many retirees. They feel a pit in their stomach knowing their balances are dropping faster than anticipated, but they cannot pinpoint exactly where the money is bleeding out. It is bleeding out through stealth taxation. Let us further analyze the situation in California. Beyond the aggressive taxation on IRA distributions and 401k withdrawals, California imposes an incredibly high base cost of living that acts as an invisible tax on your daily existence. When you are paying inflated prices for groceries, utilities, and gasoline, your fixed income simply does not stretch as far, forcing you to pull more money out of your retirement accounts just to survive. Because you are pulling out more money, your modified adjusted gross income increases, which then pushes you into a higher state and federal tax bracket, creating a vicious, compounding cycle of taxation that is almost impossible to escape once you are caught in it. This is the reality of the Social Security phase-out and taxation threshold. The more you withdraw to cover high living expenses, the more of your Social Security becomes taxable, up to 85% at the federal level. Now contrast this depressing reality with the relief of discovering a true tax haven. Let us look closer at Tennessee. Tennessee is a phenomenal example of a state that respects retirees. Not only is there no state income tax on your pension or 401k, but the Hall income tax, which previously taxed interest and dividends, has been completely eliminated. This means your entire investment portfolio is shielded from state-level taxation. If you are generating $30,000 a year in dividends from a taxable brokerage account, Tennessee lets you keep all of it. However, you must be vigilant about the sales tax, which can approach 10% in certain municipalities. If you are a retiree who spends heavily on consumer goods or vehicles, that sales tax can eat into your savings, which is why budgeting and understanding your personal spending habits is just as critical as understanding the tax code. Nevada offers a similar yet distinct advantage. With zero state income tax and relatively low property taxes, it seems like a desert paradise for your wallet. But Nevada relies heavily on revenue from tourism and hospitality, meaning if you frequently dine out, attend shows, or engage in local entertainment, you will be paying premium prices that include built-in entertainment taxes. Yet, for the disciplined retiree who enjoys a quiet lifestyle, Nevada remains one of the most mathematically sound choices in the country. Now let us revisit our sleeper state of Pennsylvania because the contrast is too important to ignore. While Pennsylvania completely exempts your 401k, pension, and IRA from state income tax, it does have a notoriously aggressive inheritance tax. If you plan to leave a substantial estate to your children or grandchildren, Pennsylvania will take a percentage of that wealth right off the top. This forces you to weigh the immediate benefit of zero income tax during your life against the future cost to your heirs. This is where strategic estate planning, such as setting up irrevocable trusts or gifting assets while you are still alive, becomes absolutely essential. You cannot just look at the tax savings today, you have to look at the generational impact of your geographic choices. Moving over to the Midwest, Iowa's recent tax overhaul is nothing short of revolutionary for retirees. By exempting all retirement income for those over 55, Iowa has positioned itself as a massive draw for seniors fleeing high-tax states like Illinois or Minnesota. The relief of knowing your pension and IRA distributions are entirely exempt is profound. But Iowa also experiences harsh winters, which brings us to the ultimate realization. You cannot choose a state based solely on a spreadsheet. You have to actually want to live there. The emotional and physical toll of living in a climate you hate will quickly overshadow the financial benefits of a zero tax bill. This is why Florida remains so incredibly popular. It offers gorgeous weather, no state income tax, and a lifestyle tailored to seniors. But as we debunked earlier, the Florida myth is cracking under the weight of skyrocketing insurance premiums. With major insurance carriers leaving the state due to hurricane risks, many retirees are seeing their homeowner's insurance jump from $2,000 a year to $8,000 a year almost overnight. That $6,000 increase completely wipes out the tax savings for the average middle-class retiree. You are essentially trading a tax bill for an insurance bill, and the insurance bill is often less predictable and more volatile. This brings us to the critical importance of the impending 2026 tax law changes. The urgency here cannot be overstated. When the current tax cuts expire, the standard deduction is expected to drop roughly in half, returning to previous levels adjusted for inflation. This means you will have far less tax-free income before you start hitting the marginal tax brackets. For a married couple, this could mean an additional $10,000 to $15,000 of their income becomes taxable at the federal level. To combat this, the proposed $6,000 senior bonus deduction is going to be a crucial tool. This bonus deduction will allow those over the age of 65 to offset a portion of that lost standard deduction, but it will require meticulous tax filing to ensure you claim it correctly. Furthermore, the potential changes to the SALT deduction cap will create massive shockwaves in the real estate market. If the $10,000 cap on state and local tax deductions is lifted, high-tax states like California, New York, and New Jersey might see a sudden resurgence in wealthy retirees choosing to stay because they will once again be able to write off their massive property and state income tax bills against their federal taxes. This completely changes the math for anyone with a high net worth. But for the average middle-class retiree, the most powerful tool you have right now is the Roth conversion. Converting your traditional pre-tax retirement accounts into a Roth IRA before 2026 is the single most effective way to protect yourself from future tax hikes. Yes, you will have to pay the taxes on the converted amount today, but you will pay them at today's historically low rates. Once that money is in the Roth IRA, it grows completely tax-free, and every single withdrawal you make in the future is 100% tax-free, regardless of whether tax rates double or triple in the coming decades. This strategy effectively removes the state income tax variable from your retirement planning equation because Roth distributions are not counted as taxable income by either the federal government or the state government. You are permanently shielding your wealth from political whims and legislative changes. But you must execute these conversions strategically. If you convert too much in a single year, you will spike your modified adjusted gross income, which could trigger IRMA surcharges, significantly increasing your Medicare Part B and Part D premiums. This is another hidden tax trap that catches thousands of retirees off guard every single year. You have to calculate exactly how much you can convert up to the top of your current tax bracket without spilling over into the next bracket or triggering those painful Medicare surcharges. It is a delicate mathematical balancing act, but when executed correctly, it will save you tens of thousands of dollars. The fear of these hidden taxes draining your hard-earned savings is completely valid, but you now have the knowledge to fight back. You understand that handing over your wealth to states like Vermont or Minnesota is a choice, not a requirement. You recognize the massive sleeper potential of states like Pennsylvania and Iowa, which offer targeted exemptions designed specifically to protect your fixed income. You see through the illusion of the no-income tax myth, understanding that Florida and Texas come with their own expensive traps in the form of property taxes and insurance premiums. And most importantly, you are prepared for the massive overhaul coming in 2026. You are not going to be caught off guard like the millions of Americans who only read the headlines. You are going to take proactive, decisive action. You are going to evaluate your entire financial picture, calculate your total cost of ownership in your current state, and strategically utilize Roth conversions to lock in today's low tax rates. Do not let another year go by where you lose $5,000 simply because you did not run the numbers. Protect your legacy, defend your savings, and take absolute control of your financial destiny today by analyzing your portfolio, consulting with a tax professional, and making the strategic moves necessary to secure your future. Watch my video on the 7 IRS changes in 2026 to learn exactly how to navigate these upcoming laws. Drop a comment right now. What state are you retired in?